Okay, so welcome to Happy Piano. Today I'm going to try and explain to you a little bit. Obviously, this is a beginner's tutorial. You probably know this already if you've been playing a little bit for a while. Then again, I've had students come to me and they've been playing for 2 or 3 years and they still don't know how to find the keys on the piano. So I think this is something that's very important to learn. Pretty much early, I would say. This should be something you learn in the first 3 or 4 months, in my opinion. I think normally, like I said, they go from the numbering method in one of the previous videos I did. And I think it's quickly important to go from the numbers to the notes, the alphabetical numbers. Anyway, so what you see here in the top here in the picture, and then obviously here on the keyboard, I've got them written, as you can see. The first thing we want to do is we want to locate the black keys, the groups of 2s and the groups of 3s. And if you know and you recognize something's happening here, they're repeating all over the keyboard. 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3. Okay. So what we want to do when we see the 2, typically we start like when you first start playing the piano, you always start with the C. I don't know why, but it seems to be one of the easiest methods to start off with. So before the 2 is always the C. That's always the C. Okay, so when you're looking for the C, you think, okay, there's a block of 2 and it's the C. And obviously the block of 2, what comes after the block of 2 is the E. Okay, so we have 2 notes already, C and E. Then you could say what comes in between the block of 2 is the D. So there we have C, D, E. And remember, it goes in alphabetical order, so it's not really an issue. So you really only need to know where the C and the E is because it's logical that the D comes in between. Okay, so then we have the block of 3 notes. Before the block of 3 is the F, and after the block of 3 is the B. Okay, and then you can just count up F, G. You got to remember that it goes back after G is the highest note on the keyboard. And you go back to A then, A, B. Okay, so if you're thinking as well, you can look at it like this. The third note, after the third note on the block of 3 is the B, and before the B is the A. Okay, or the first note is the F, and the note after that is the G. Okay, it's really easy. And that just repeats all over the keyboard. So you got C, E, F, B, and then you just repeat. Obviously, you have the issue of the black notes too. Let's make this a little bigger. So basically, you got the flats and sharps. The flats are the B's, and the sharps are the hashtags, as you guys know it. Hashes. Okay, so if we want to find a sharp, we have to go to the right. So you'll see a B after the C, and that means go to the right. If you want to find a flat, you go to the left. So after the E, you'll see a B. And obviously, you see here that it's D. They have, if you notice the sharps, the black notes, they have two names or 2 letters for them. That's because that just depends on what scale you're playing in. So if you're playing in A flat, it'll typically show obviously the B flat. But if you're playing in F sharp, then you'll see the C sharp and the D sharp and F sharp, for example. So that's all that is. Okay. So let's see how I can move this. Do you want to move forward? Let's go back. Also, if you're reading it on the staff here, it's the classic. So what you see is the E. E is always after the 2. Got the E here. And then obviously you got on each line, E, G, B, D, F. That's like, oh, here is the elephants get big dirty feet. What I learned, every good boy deserves football or fruit. And obviously the spaces between the lines just spells face. It's like a nice F major 7 chord. Yeah. So on the lines, you just got to remember E, G. So basically, the lines are always like if you press them all together. Let's see how I do this. That's how the lines would spell. And if you go for the spaces, that's what the spaces would spell face. And the left hand is the same thing. if I remember correctly, it's 2 tones lower. So that's 2 tones lower than the right hand. So, oh, that's wrong. I can't reach it. That's the left hand. So here it says Gold by Dukes, Fine, All. I don't know what that is. That's rubbish. And then obviously in the spaces, Almonds, Child, Every, Give. Every spot with 2 E's here. I don't know why. Don't hate. I just go off the internet. So that's how you pretty much read this. This takes a bit of practice, obviously, but once you've done it like a few times, maybe a few lessons, you'll get it. Typically, you start with the right hand and the left hand. It's very important to concentrate more on the left hand though, because the left hand gets very lazy in reading. It's always the right hand that's really fluent and then or fluid, and the left hand is like, oh. So if I was you, I'd put more attention on the left hand to start off with, and then move to the right hand. Like most pieces are going to be chords in the left hand or simple accompaniments, and you'll be able to read that quickly. And the right hand will do all the melody, but you'll be reading the right hand more, so you'll get more practice. Okay. Obviously, a good way to identify or orientate yourself, you can say, okay, high C, high G, C, G, C. That's a good way to locate yourself between the notes when you're looking, when you're thinking, okay, if you just to start off with, for example, there, this is obviously a treble clef or G clef. That starts obviously on this line, the G. See if I can make this a bit bigger. So here the G, and here the F or the bass clef. This starts on the F. So that's just to start off with F, C, F, C. And once you know them notes, you should be able to orientate yourself. I use a slightly different method than this though. This is a good method. It's kind of similar to what I use. What I normally do is I try and identify the top line, the middle line, and the bottom line, and I'll start from there, because when you know them lines, you don't have to go far to find notes. A lot of people, especially young kids or people who haven't got much experience reading music, like you'll say, okay, what's this note here? And they'll be like, oh, okay. So they'll go to the note that they know. So they'll go all the way down here or something. They'll be like, okay, the bottom line is what? It's a G, A, B, C. That just takes too long. So it's better to get yourself 3 or 4 points, so landmarks where you can say, okay, that's this note. For example, here's an F, G. Okay, F, E. All right, great. C, you got D next to it, and you got B next to it. Obviously, this works too. I try and use the middle line. I just don't use this C. I don't use the F. I use the top line instead. Simply because I think there's too much space between these 2 lines here. It's too much space. So, yeah, that's how I would do it. Okay, I hope I've shone some light a bit more on how to read music or find the keys on the keyboard, etc. And I hope this helps. Yeah, and stay tuned. We're back soon with another tutorial.